All right, we're gonna learn how to check for invalid string characters without rejects. First, we're just gonna check where it's just an argument passed in as a string, and then we're gonna check it when it's an array of user objects. Okay, so more like in the real world. Okay, so now I wrote a function vals checker. It's gonna check if a string I pass it with contains any of these vals. Now, my favorite way to do this is actually using the while loop and having its condition be dependent on the length of this val list. Okay. So while it has a length, I'm going to do if string.includes, because you can use includes on strings. If it includes vowels list dot pop, remember pop mutates this array and returns the first value. So if it has that, we're going to return true. And then else, outside of that, we're going to return false. Okay. So now if we call vals checker, false, if we add an A, it's going to be true. If we add an I, it's also going to be true. We add it in the middle, it'll also be true. Okay, now we have an array of usernames, right? But we want to loop through these and check, hey, do each one of these actually have a proper name? So we don't want question marks, we don't want @, and we don't want hashtags. Okay, now, if we check all of these and they have the proper names, like these last two, we're going to give them an extra property called verify. If not, we're going to give them a warning and we're going to give them a name suggestion, removing those special characters. How can we do that? Okay, let's do function. It's called this verify, and it's going to take in a users array. Okay, so what's the first thing that we need to do? Well, we need to loop through the users array, right? So I'll just use users.forEach, and we'll have access to a user. Okay, so then in here, what are we trying to do inside of for each? Well, let's declare our const band characters will be equal to, so I set the question mark, where's the pound sign, and then the @ sign, okay? And then now we can do another while condition. So while band characters dot length is truthy, let's do const current character is going to be equal to band characters dot pop. Once again, we're going to mutate inside the while loop. And then now we can do if. So if what? Remember, we're still inside of for each, so we have access to the user object. If user dot name dot includes the current band character that we're checking for, right? Then we're going to add a warning. And our warning is just going to say illegal name. Okay. And then we're going to do a user dot suggestion for the name change, right? And this is going to be a ternary. Now, we're going to check to see if, hey, does this user already have a suggestion property? So we're going to check, right? Now, if this is the first time, that means that they're not going to have it. Okay, so we're going to check if they don't have it. So if they don't have it, what are we going to do? Well, if they don't have it, we're just going to set it to be user.name. And then we're going to call replace all. And then we're going to replace all instances of the band character with an empty string. So we're basically just removing that character. Else, okay. So else means that the user suggestion already exists. So if it already exists, it's just going to be equal to itself. And then we're still going to call replace all, passing in the current character and then replacing it with an empty one here. Okay, so now we have a for each loop, right? And then we have a while loop. Now, this while loop, once it finishes running, how do we know which users started with the correct name? Well, if this while loop finishes running and the user does not have a warning, or if they don't have a suggestion, then we know that they had the proper name. So now we can say if, and we still have access to user because we're still inside of for each. So if user at warning does not exist, then we can do user.verified is equal to true, right? And then down here, we can console.log users. And then on the right, I can do verify. And then I'm going to pass in my users. Yes. Oops, let me do this console.log outside. There you go. Okay, so first of all, you see that the last two was verified because it didn't have any special characters. If we look at the first one, it had all three of the special characters, and the suggestion actually removed all of it. Look, we can actually even add more. Let's see if it removes all of it. Call it again. And you see that it does. And that's because of replace all. Replace all checks for all instances of its first argument. Yeah. And then let's look at the first one, fill, a bunch of question marks, it gets replaced, right? And it also comes with a warning, right? And now for wow, right now it's verified, but if we add a question mark and we call verify again, you're gonna see that it gets a warning now, and it also got a suggestion without the question mark. Cool, right?